Chartreuse Shadows. That's what we're going to be looking at in this video. This is the third of the 4-part trilogy of Chalt. It is 360 pages. It's the biggest of the books so far. And you can find it in PDF on Ttrpg, as well as in hardcover at Venger Satanis' website, which I'll have a link to both of them. And he's done a post that lets you know exactly what you need to do if you want to order this book or any of the other two. I would suggest if you've really enjoyed what you've seen with Chalt and you want to look into it, I would suggest you get all three, just because it just really fleshes out more of the setting. So for starters, this is going to be a not safe for work video. This is the most, while this one is, the other books are probably R-rated, this one's probably X-rated. There's a lot of sex talk in this, sex acts, as well as some art, so it may not be for everybody. So just to let you know forefront that I will be showing some of that. I am not going to be able to go through this book all the way. It's just going to be too much information. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go through it a little bit, and then I'm going to kind of do like a wrap-up of these all three Chalt books and tell you exactly what I think about them and what you can do with them. And I like this cover. It's got a cool dude here. He's in a Hawk the Slayer pose. These guys have got some sort of melted mozzarella faces going on. And there's two bosomy ladies, which of course is kind of the thing about this Chartreuse Shadows, is a lot of sex stuff. But great quality once again, super thick paper. And there's that. It looks great. The black and the Chartreuse just looks awesome. So I got some tentacles this time with his signature and it numbered. So there's the sigil that you'll see throughout the book. And so what happened was this. He did two Kickstarters, one for Saving Chalt and Chalt After Dark, and it was a bunch of adventures. And then he made Crimson Mirror Exam, which is hopefully the way you say it, and it's also a super mega dungeon once again. He's got his new updated version of Crimson Dragon Slayer, and then there's Crimson Escalation, which has some cool ideas about combat. I'll definitely be talking about that because I think it's pretty neat. So with Saving Chalt and Chalt After Dark, he put them both in this book in print form, so now you've got them, with Crimson Mirror Exam being kind of the newest thing that's in here, the new thing that's in this book. But both of these give you tons of adventures and really just take you on, you know, a big kind of voyage through Chalt, experiencing a whole bunch of different stuff. So that's how that goes. So there's a list of backers, and of course the Chalt series is a humorous spoof, parody, and satire not intended to be taken seriously, which I'm sure many people are unable to do. So that's unfortunate for them. So there is the table of contents. And by now you should know whether or not this is going to be your style of comedy, humor, sleaziness, or whatever. So, you know, we've already gone past that part. So here's some unsolicited game mastering advice, which is pretty good. It tells you not to do a demo. He tells you to do a demo instead of doing a session 0, which is probably good information. And then what makes Chalt Chalt. This is a very good section here with different things about Chalt, with examples of what those things might be. So always pretty good to have some good info on how to run the game. And of course some cool art throughout it, and some very not safe for work art. So Strange Arrival, how'd you get on Chalt? Interesting NPCs, what's up with them? What you might find in somebody's pocket. Some of them are quite funny. They may not be your style of humor, but that's comedy. You know, that's how it goes. So who's aligned against this and why? Are you heretical? You go into an area and they may have some faux pas that you may do, and they want to maybe kill you because you did what you weren't supposed to do. Or they might think you're pretty cool for doing it. So it's a D100 list, so once again, I got to give him kudos for those. D100 lists are not easy to come up with. So here's 6 hours to save Chalt. This is a adventure where a meteor is going to destroy Chalt, and you need to find some technology. And the technology is inside an old one. So you're going to go inside this old one, and you're going to have your normal thing that Venger has in the other two books. It's going to be the same in this one, where you've got a bunch of different rooms to go into, and some different stuff is obviously going on in there, in the different rooms, that may or may not be linked to anything else. So again, kind of a hodgepodge of information, ideas, imagination going on. But there is a cool spaceship here, and there's a lot of exiled priests, and there's going to be a thing at the end. It's not exactly this, but there is a ball of greenish light that, of course, reminds me of the Lochnar from Heavy Metal. This is pretty cool. Sandsea grass, I guess that's how you say it. This is a prison city with this cool statue here, which you should get that right there, what that's all about. And I think it's a cool piece of art with one, of course, my favorite artists that's in these books. So very neat. So different types of factions are in there, their race and what crime they did. And then it's going to be a thing where, I really like this, where he highlights some stuff about the place, and it gives you a feel of what it's about. Anti-magic field, food shortages, what's going on with the watering hole. The currency is like stuff that you would trade, like deck of cards or can of beans. There's an underground, somebody who thinks they're the top dog, an order of the black trapezoid, and then a temple. So you'll get up with some NPCs and get into the city on an adventure, but then you'll be able to go in certain different directions to explore what's going on. Sometimes there won't be a map, you're just going to have to try to wing it. And this is obviously to be played, fairly fast, I would think, with not extreme, minute details about locations and stuff, just to have fun and have kind of crazy adventure. So here's the Sultana Mutiny or Sultana Mutiny. This is going to get you on with a bunch of skeevers, and that's how lots of stuff in these books do. They kind of explain something to you, put you in a situation, and then you kind of go from place to place, investigating different stuff, having adventures in different locations as you complete a storyline at the end, of course. But it's all pretty good. It's got the same layout and stuff like that from the other books. So the Cube is obviously a take on Logan's Run. I know I've talked about that before, and I highly recommend you watch the movie as well as the TV show. The TV show is actually quite good. So here's kind of like the highlight section. Let you know what's going on inside the Cube. It shows up in this, it's in the sand, it opens up, and these people have been living there for who knows how long, and they worship a computer. They've got a pale complexion. Everyone's a young adult, and they're sensitive to light, and everything is recycled in there. So something is obviously happening inside the Cube, and it's a section that I enjoy because I like Logan's Run. So here is Prison Beneath the Palace. So we're going back to Agrabah, but you're going to be locked up for whatever reason, and you're going to be checking out what's going on in the sewers and stuff. And this lady's showing off her rump, which is fine by me. And yeah, you're going to come out of it, and you're going to, once you're done, there's going to be this huge monster that's eating people out of like cryopods. And this is just a great piece of art. I think it has a very much like a DCC RPG look to it, with the different people showcasing a bunch of action going on. And this thing's just chomping down on people. I think it looks great. So I'm very pleased with that. And then you're going to have Occupation of Cradumec. It's going to continue on with kind of the meta plot that's been going on with Cradumec. This Tsar invasion has happened, and they're going to pretty much decimate Cradumec. The Zedi are in this, and of course that's a take kind of on Jedi. So you're going to have some Star Wars, you're going to have aliens, you're going to have Logan's Run, like I've said. You're even going to have like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Reservoir Dogs, Friends. There's tons of pop culture references in this. There's an ancient temple. So this has got kind of your normal dungeon crawl style map. You're going to need Zoth, the blood of the old ones, in order to open up this door, in order to explore the temple. And it's pretty cool. I like that a lot. And then we're going to get into Big Trouble in Dome City, another one of my favorite sections of this book, because he's spotlighted some places before in the first Chalt book and the second. And now, once again, we're going into them and getting some more information about them. So that's kind of fixed some of the issues I've had with the first Chalt book. So now we've got the Dome City, which is, of course, it's interesting to me because it reminds me of Logan's Run. But this is one thing he did I think that's very cool. Likely sites and encounters in the Dome City. So you've got a D100 list of things that are happening. It could be encounters, people getting into a fight or something happening, and you've got 100 of those to, randomly roll up. Shoot, if you pick 20 of them or rolled up 20 of them, you still have 80 left. And it's going to be a good way to not only give you an adventure hook, but an encounter and explore the way that the Dome City is. So I actually think it's a really great way to give someone the feel of what it's like to be in one of these locations. So you see I just moved some pages there, and we're at the end, but that was a lot. This lady, there is a story that's going on in this. This lady is trying to put her energy, her consciousness into Goliath, which is a huge metal titan, so that she can take over Chalt, destroy a bunch of stuff, and of course you want to stop her. So this is the end of Saving Chalt, the PDF Kickstarter book that he did. And at the end, so it's got its own appendix. At the end, there's this section here about fetish magic. Pretty much, you could double the power of your spell as long as you have a component. Now, that component could be fire, water, gold, flesh, meaning sexual energy, blood, crystals, emotions, slime. So it's pretty interesting. And then you've got Chalt After Dark. And then so back to his unsolicited game mastering advice. A little bit different art here, kind of an older school look. I think it looks pretty cool. And there is rules here for what happens when you have sex. So you can get some bonuses to having sex, but there could be consequences, of course, like any sex thing that might happen. You could get pregnant, you could have diseases, sex addiction, stuff like that. And of course, these are all optional stuff if you want to use or not. And then we go into manifestation. And this is going to be about being on board a starship. And the main thing to know about this at the end is that Jareth, the Goblin King, shows up at the end. And of course, that made me laugh to see him. So beautiful, so dangerous. A lot of this stuff is, you know, stuff that happens, ambushes with mutants, sorcerers, and stuff like that while you are exploring the desert. And here's a D100 list of salvageable tech. It's not a huge section. Girl with the tentacle tattoo. There's 3 factions trying to find her. Bounty Hunters, the Scarlet Brotherhood of Salamanca, and Priest of Cthulhu. And it seems like a very cool adventure, but it also ends with what happens when old ones breed with women. So whether or not there's fertilization and gestation. So it's an interesting section. And then Chalt After Dark, the actual adventure. This has to do about some technology and helping out a brilliant technologist as you once again go from place to place exploring. And I can't, like I said, it'll bog down if I really get into this, but we've got a normal map, and you guys would be here forever. Those that stick around for this, they probably bail out way before. But a lot in this book has got a lot of demons, a lot of monsters that are demonic. Obviously, you're going to have mutants and creatures like that. So there's just a wide gambit of foes you'll face. Here's Pervert's Paradise. Erotic strangeness and crude sex acts that are going on in this sex club. Again, this is not your bag. You can just keep on trucking. There might be some way of finding trouble that's in there. Here's a name generator. Here's some naked ladies that I don't know what they've been eating or drinking, but man, it's they've got something going on with them, that's for sure. Here's a bar fight, something that might happen that might cause a bar fight to break out. And then we've got Chalt, Chartreuse Shadows, and this is the most media section of the book, Crimson Mirror Exam. This is a mega dungeon. Once again, it says it's depraved, sleazy, and infernal. It's whimsical, and here's the thing about getting sleazy with it. It's got a lot of kind of sex stuff with it. Now, he does have some interesting takes in here. He's got this confession cam, which is kind of like a reality TV show camera where the contestant or person, they talk to the camera, and he's telling you that you should do that to your players, and give them prompts such as anything you want to get off your chest. How are you feeling about the expedition so far? Who do you think is the party's MVP, most valuable player? Which of the companions do you like the least? So it's just kind of a neat way to get information passed along amongst the group, and I think it's actually pretty cool. And here's kind of an example of it. Here's some rules for stress and panic. There's a cool thing here about montages where you allow the players to create one sentence in the montage, and if they do a good job, they can get a bonus to whatever they're doing a montage about. I think that's pretty cool. There is some section here about stressful situation reactions and Chartreuse elves. And then rumors, of course, you're always going to have those. And wandering encounters, of course, you're going to have those. Pink skeletons, rat things, ultra mutants, Zoth worms, death droids, a bunch of crazy stuff there with their stats, more NPCs. It's an old structure, so it's deteriorating, and sometimes you could roll on this D20 and have something happen. There's an earthquake, maybe a portion of the wall, crashes down. A whole bunch of stuff could happen. There's a sound of buckling of stone and stuff, and I think that's pretty cool to give the vibe, as well as some sounds they might hear while they're in this mega dungeon. This magenta saturation is interesting. It's kind of like this thing that's in there, and it could affect you mentally, even make you get like heightened sexual impulses and stuff like that. So very interesting, once again, and may not be for everybody. Here's demon expressions, things that are said throughout the mega dungeon that might give you a better feel. And then we're going to have 7 levels of Crimson Mirror Exam. And look at this. It goes on and on. Cultists. I'm just going to kind of shout out some stuff here, but this is the thing about this. We got wasp men, telepathic spiders. There's mutants, decent maps, demon bats. So this is even a chicken restaurant. The thing I'll say about this, and this goes for all his books. So he has these rooms, and they are very dense, if you think about it. It may not be very big, but you could have a lot of time spent dealing with that one room, because there's NPCs in there, and they've got certain goals in mind, or certain things they're trying to do, and you can help them with those, or not, or you can just walk in there and kill them, and you'll never know exactly what it is that they're doing. It's all really well written. Venger's got a great writing style that's really easy to understand. But this is it's so much stuff, because when you're making a normal dungeon, you obviously are going to do stuff that's kind of this place to that place. This room is that room, and it's, you know, there may be maybe it's a larder or a pantry. There's food in there, and there's nobody in there. Then you go to the next room, and it may be something. There may be one person or a couple creatures in there, and you kill them and you move on. Side note, this is a Aliens reference area here. But within every single room, because of the way that his format is, everything's got NPCs with stories and the way they behave and goals. I'm certain it can be very daunting to run this, because it's just going to be NPC after NPC, creatures that might want to kill you or not. Not all of them are trying to murder you. And some things they may be doing are going to be depraved, and your players are going to have to decide whether or not they need to go in there and just bash everything to death, or sit back, let it kind of happen, and say, I don't know if I like this, what's going on, or I do like this, or let's get involved in this. And it's room after room of that. So even if you were to get this and just say, hey, I want to pull out this one room for this other setting I've got, it's very good. It's a great tool in order to do that, especially if you're playing in a post-apocalyptic kind of gonzo type place. Here's a clown abortion thing, great piece of art, but you know, there's going to be some wild stuff going on in this, you know, drugs, sex, like I've mentioned, and I think this is definitely pushing your players. As the third book, if they've enjoyed Chalt, you know, it's only getting more and more kind of extreme. But it's all very, very impressive when you think about the fact that not only was Venger able to come up with all these encounters, and some of them are almost like mini adventure hooks or straight out adventures. I mean, you could take something that happens and befriend somebody that's in there, and then you're on in a whole other tangent doing something completely different. You could get many, many months, if not years, with some of these books. These guys are abusing this poor lady here. You can go in there and wreck them. And if you don't, something's going to happen. So you may never see what that is. It's truly a role-playing experience where you just don't, you know, you have to decide how your character is going to react. And I think that's one of the best things about these books is the crazy imagination that he has. This is a demon city. This guy's beating it. This guy's taking it in the gut, and this lady's taking a piss. These demons just go absolutely, they go ape, if you wish, on the people that are there. It's called Lex Talionis. And there's some random encounters that might happen. So it's just within the random encounters in this city, you could have tons of adventures or encounters or drama. You know, it's really, really impressive. I like this Necro Choir of Vile Atrocity. It says here they're kind of like the Cenobites of Chalt. I mean, that right there could be interesting. Like, who are they? What should we do, like, when we encounter them, or we want to find out more about them? I think that's very impressive, that not only is it wild stuff, room after room, but you got David Lee Bahart, so Salome to him. These things can create more adventure for you. It's really a catalyst for not only hopefully your imagination, because I do think he's got a pretty wild imagination, even though you may not like the sex stuff or, you know, the kind of pop culture references. You got to give this guy kudos for just being able to really put it down on paper and make some really crazy stuff that you could play it as it is or pull out what you want. Clowns. There's things that are kind of like Jawas in here. There's a lot of demons, thieves, banana men, meth gators that are on meth. It's just wild. And we're coming close to the end. Here's level 7. And I like how it's color coordinated again with the different levels. So that's good. Snake Men, they're all up to something. Boy, it's just, there's Floridians, so you gotta watch out for Florida. They'll bring you a bunch of people, a lot of clowns, lava demons. And then here we've got a colony ship, Salvation. So this statted out colony ship that you can use for your adventures, and there's stuff going on within it. This reminds me of Chopping Mall, this piece of art here. But yeah, it's like, it's not only is it statting out the starship, but it's giving you some stuff that you could use for adventure. Cool piece of art right here. So yeah, it's a lot of information. And then we got the appendix. Little small thing here, personality aspects, some handouts that you'll see up on like walls and stuff. We're all gonna fucking die. Jelly beans, they're different flavors, how much stuff is worth. Here's Halloween dressing, so we've got Halloween coming soon. If you wanted to play this or any other adventure or dungeon crawl, you could roll this D20 list up and give some feel to Halloween if you're playing around this time. I think that's pretty smart. Here's also a flyer thing that you'll find inside the Mega Dungeon, Sick and Tired of Being a Little Bitch. So just to give you a couple visual aids, some more information here about him making it, the Corthalis sigil, and then here's his Crimson Dragon Slayer, the new update. So obviously as it goes on, it's obviously getting more refined and better. And what I want to get to is coming up. It's called Crimson Escalation, and it's right here. So this is very interesting. At first I kind of was like, all right, what is this? But this is a thing that allows for, whenever you're having combat, you're going to crit at a higher level, at a higher crit range. So here's a cool thing you do here on round 1. It's a D20, you know. You roll D20, and on a 20 you crit. Well, round 2 is 19 to 20, and then 18 to 20, then 17 to 20. So it's going to help speed up combat. I actually think it's really good to use that in a lot of different games, especially when you have some rule systems where the combat just seems to, you know, whiff. You're whiffing a bunch, your dice are rolling trash. Go ahead and get that going and take out some fools and continue on with your adventure. I think it's pretty smart. At the end here, it gets to 10 to 20. I think it's pretty great. Here's 10 Commandments of Immersion. It's got some great information here about getting immersion into your game. So here's the index here. Very well done once again. And then that's Chalked Chartreuse Shadows. Now, I gotta say that I haven't done these books justice, I don't think at all. I've really shortchanged them. Here's the second one, and then here's the third, which I really like this cover. Probably my favorite color of the 3, because it really encapsulates what Chalt's about. You've got this guy here. It's obviously supposed to look like Venger, but maybe he's a wizard or sorcerer or something. But he's got a little bit of like a sci-fi look to him. We've got some elves with some sort of like ray guns or laser guns, so showing you the elf and the mix of fantasy and sci-fi. This big bosomy lady here, maybe she's a sorceress or something. And you've got this big toothy mauled sandworm type creature, the multiple suns and all these tentacles, the black pyramid in the back. This kind of solidifies kind of what Chalt is. Chalt is anything, really. You never know what's going to come across. You're going to come across like in the next sand dune or the next room. And I think that's going to be really enjoyable for some players that like that kind of whimsical, crazy, gonzo, you don't know what's going to happen type gameplay. And this obviously fully embraces it. So, like I try to say in this book here, you can see the size. I mean, with these together, almost the same size as Chartreuse Shadows. They're great looking products. They've got great production values. They are outside, obviously, the realm of kind of what is going on right now with role-playing games. And it's just a melange of all sorts of stuff. Sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, wild craziness. But the rooms, with them being each so unique, and while that might be a little bit hard to get your head, around, each one of those has got layered NPCs that can really be fleshed out, and you can have tons and tons and tons of adventures, and a lot of things to kind of red herring, taking you over here, or let's expand that, or we're going to do this. I think if you have a group of players that really fly by the seat of their pants and you never know what they're going to do, they will be either your worst nightmare or be people that you're going to have a lot of fun with these books. because Chalt's going to completely embrace that, where they can just go off on a tangent, and your night's adventure is that you've planned out for it and everything, and oh, I've got all my ducks in a row. Well, Chalt's going to say, here's this, and it's wild and crazy, and it's just in this room, but if you want to, you can expand on it and be involved in these people, in their drama, in their goals. Maybe you just walk in there, see, I don't like what they're doing, so I'm going to go ahead and just kill these fools and take what they've got. It's got everything you need. So it's a very exciting setting, and I'm very glad that I picked up the books. They look great. It definitely fuels me in my own writing and stuff to try to be a little bit wilder in creating encounters, NPCs, loot tables, and stuff like that. But with these 3 books, there's tons of tables to create the atmosphere, the people, their interests, their motives, and be able to flesh out Chalt. So I'm interested in seeing what the 4th book is. But I hope these videos have been helpful for you. This thing is just a massive, massive beast to try to get my head around. That's why it was so difficult to do this video for this one. But I hope these have been helpful. Thank you so much for everybody that's subscribed. We've got a lot of new people every day. I'm getting people subscribing, so thank you very much for subscribing and checking out the channel. We're getting close to 1,000, so that would be cool to get. But yeah, that's Chalt. Like I said, it's not for everybody. Some of the stuff is not for me, but it's fine. There's so much stuff going on in it. I can pull out tons of stuff I think is fun. And as long as your players know what Chalt's about before they go into it, and you know who your players are, what their mentality's like, I think they're going to have a lot of fun. So there it is. There's Chalt. Thanks for watching these. And I'll get the 4th one when it comes out, and I'll probably do a video about it as well. So look for more. I got a lot more content here coming out. Some more books to show y'all. New systems, new games, adventures, and stuff like that. So keep up with the channel, and I appreciate it. Thank you.